All right, welcome to the start of this vlog, which I have not vlogged in a very long time, but I thought I would vlog the books that I'm reading for the Asian Readathon, which is happening the month of May, that Sydney's put together. I'll link her video down below. I don't know when this video is coming up. It depends on how quickly I read these 3 books. I have 3 books that are going to cover the 5 prompts. The prompts work that you can double up, but when you do, it has to be a author from a different country and things like that, and it was really fun putting this together, and it's accidentally a secret TBR because I didn't talk about 2 of these books because they are going to be my audiobook reads for the month, and I normally don't plan that in my TBR videos, but I did a lot of research to try and put this together for this one, and I'm really excited about my reads. I'm wearing my Charlie Coyle shirt, for those who don't know, my favorite Bruins player, where they're playing in about 15 minutes, but I think I'm going to miss the first part of the game because I'm going to walk to the bookstore and see what I can find because it's beautiful outside, and I want to listen to one of the first books that I'm doing for this challenge. So one of the books I'm listening to is The Ghost Bride. This is for the prompts not US centric, Asian author, Asian protagonist, so it works for 3 of them, and it takes place in Malaysia in the 1800s. And a ghost bride is a bride of a dead person, so not a widow, someone who marries someone who's already dead. And I believe that's what's going to happen to our main character. I've gotten real gothic vibes so far. It looks like it's going to be like historical fiction with like paranormal elements, and I'm really excited. The author narrates the audiobook, and her voice has been so pleasant. I've really liked it. I think that's a large part of why I'm enjoying it. Something that I really like, but I could also see being a critique, is that this part of the world I don't think the average American reader knows a lot about. I know I didn't. And that means that some of the setting up of this place is a little bit info dumpy. At least that's the word you would use in like a fantasy book, and maybe not so much historical fiction. But it kind of doesn't always flow with the narrative, but I also don't mind because A, I love info dumps in fantasy, and B, I really do think you have to assume people don't know anything. Just because I don't trust the average American to know even where Malaysia is on a map, which if you're curious, it's here. It's south of Vietnam, and if you didn't know where Vietnam is, it's here, okay? We have a map, now we all know. And I've been really curious about learning more because this region has like a really rich history because of colonialism and immigration from different Asian countries and from Britain, and just I really wanted to know more, and I'm really excited that this is the historical fiction I'm picking up to like introduce me to these ideas, because it's also just like a really fun story so far. Like I'm really interested. I really like our protagonist and like the situation she's about to be in, just her curiosity, what she likes and doesn't like. It's first person, which is good that I like her, because if I didn't, this might be a little rough. So I'm gonna go to the bookstore. Maybe you'll see a clip of that. I don't know, I'm bad at vlogging in public. I'm gonna go see if I find a book I want. Bare minimum, I'm gonna buy some chocolate. They sell this Mexican-based Taza chocolate that I really love. And other books I plan to read for this readathon, The Empress of Salt and Fortune. This is a Vietnamese author, because like I said, you have to pick different authors. I think the first one's Malaysian Chinese. And so this one's Vietnamese, and it's a fantasy book, so it's in my favorite genre, so it works for that prompt. And then I do have a nonfiction memoir I'm going to pick up. I believe that's a Korean author, maybe Korean American. I will correct myself if I'm wrong here. But it's a nonfiction I've been actually meaning to read for like 4 years, so I'm excited to get the audiobook and listen to that after I'm done with The Ghost Bride. So let's see how this goes. I'm excited. I haven't done like a challenge or secret TBR vlog on this channel, and I'm really excited, and it's nicer outside, and I'm going to be going on a trip this month, so hopefully there might be good slice of life footage as well. I have returned, and if you hear stuff in the background, it's because hockey's happening, but I thought I would show you the little haul that I have from the bookstore. All right, so I'm trying to not show you the clutter of my life, but the first thing I'll show you guys is the Taza chocolate I talked about. This is so good. You can get it online, I know on Amazon. It's pricey though. That normally is what it goes for. And you can also, at least around here, you can find it at Whole Foods. This is actually made in Somerville, Massachusetts, but like I said, I have seen it online that you can buy, and it's vegan as well for anyone who matters. But I love dark chocolate, and I love Mexican style dark chocolate. It's so good. And then I picked up 2 books because apparently this challenge is going to, actually I'm going to try to do 5 books for 5 prompts. So we've got Never Let Me Go. This is a British-Japanese author, and it's, I think, a sci-fi, unsure. I know this is a book that you're not supposed to know a lot when you go into it. And yeah, again, ignore the clutter of my life. Oh, Storygraph. I was updating things. And then I picked up, I don't know a lot about this, but Burning Rose. I think this is by a Chinese American author, and it's like, it says in the front flap, integration of Chinese and European folk stories, and like there's Red Rising Hood, and my friend Judith says it's really good. So yes, very excited about this haul. So these aren't too long, although my TBR is already insane for the month, but maybe I will add those 2 on. So that'll be 5 books for the 5 prompts. I'm pretty sure I've hit 5 different Asian ethnicities, and let's see what's happening. I did get to listen. Oh, well, Ryan is singing in the background. Just ignore him. But I am really liking what I have listened to in The Ghost Bride. I don't know if this is a good comparison because I've read literally only 1 Jane Austen, but it feels like gothic Jane Austen with ghosts. I don't know. I'm having a really good time. I'm only 12% of the way in, but I really like our main character. I really like the people she's gotten to meet. I like the romances that are being implied, and I'm just having fun. All right, it's been a bit since I've checked in. Maybe like 5 days, I don't know. I hadn't been reading that much. I've been slowly consuming The Ghost Bride. So I'll talk about that real quick. I am at 88%. I only have like an hour and 45 minutes, and I've been listening it to 1.5 speed. So if I find more audiobook time today, I can finish it. I don't really know how to talk about this book, because to talk about this book would be to reveal what I would consider a twist. So I don't want to do that. I will say there is a tonal shift, and it took me a minute to decide if I liked that tonal shift. The book starts off very gothic. It's like a very gothic start for me, like that's my interpretation. And then it shifts, and I could compare it to a lot of things, but that would maybe spoil the twist. I do think I'm liking where it's going though. Like it's really like the mystery portion of it is really picked up right now, and I'm like kind of itching to finish it, but I don't have anything to do for audiobooking right now, and I kind of have like a little mini goal at the moment, so I might not do it till later, but maybe I'll do some chores, or I'll go walk to get food, or I'll play Stardew Valley, and I'll finish it up and give you like final thoughts. I do think I'm gonna land on like a 4-star for it. It feels like a 4-star. It could have been higher, I think, if it was tonally more consistent, and if this main character wasn't so naive. Like, I think it's okay that she's naive, but she's like really naive. And I think sometimes, I mean, even she herself is frustrated with herself. And I'm like, yes, that was a decision. It was a questionable decision there, ma'am. So I don't know. I am enjoying it though. It definitely was kind of, in terms of like setting and historical context, what I wanted. Just like a really good taste of things that I just didn't know a lot about in Malaysia. Like it's not the same as reading a nonfiction, obviously, but I don't know, I really wanted something that taught me a little bit about this area and its cultural diversity, and I definitely got a bit of that, and specifically into customs around the dead, like, and how varied those are. And I think specifically kind of the Malaysian Chinese interpretation of dead. And that's been really interesting. It's reminded me a lot of different stories I have consumed in animated media for children, which is, I think, part of why the tonal thing was a little weird for me, because it's like I went from this gothic sort of thing to like, I could see this as an animated movie that I watched as a kid. sort of thing. Like that's kind of what the plot did and like what my brain was connecting dots to. It's not a bad thing though, and I think there was just a part that bored me for a bit. I'm like, I don't understand why we're here and what we're looking at. Let's get back to the cool stuff. And we're back and things are really intriguing, and there's like this really cool character that I've like been learning more about, and like I really like this character. So it's been good, and I'll check in when I like finish it. Like the ending, I think it was like lulling to a 3.5, but then the ending started to ramp it up. So I think it's probably for sure like a 4-star read, and I'm really glad that I'm listening to it. I think it's a really great audiobook. I think I've already said that. Now, like I said, I wanted to do like a little challenge for myself because I don't feel like I give myself time to like really like focus on reading. And one of the books I wanted to read for this readathon is The Empress of Salt and Fortune. I believe that's the name. And I want to read this, and it's only 118 pages, 110 pages. So in theory, I can consume that in 2 hours. So I want to try and only read for 2 hours. And we will see if that works out and if I finish it. I don't know anything about this story. It's a novella. I know it's a novella a bunch of my friends have liked. Most of my friends have liked it best as being physically read, which that's my main mode of reading anyways. I think it's got storyteller vibes. Everyone I hear talk about it, I feel like it's supposed to be like campfire storyteller, folklore-ish, which is like, I love when a book knows it's telling you a story. That's one of my favorite things. So I'm hoping it delivers on that and that it's a really engaging story. And if I can't finish it in one sitting, maybe I can finish it in 2 throughout the day. We will see, but I've got all my pillows and my blankets, and let's see what happens. And about 2 hours later, I have finished The Empress of Salt and Fortune, and I believe the author's name is Nevo. I've looked up a few videos, and that's the best I can do with my brain. And I really liked it. Obviously, it's a novella, so I won't talk too many details, and I'm very interested to read the sequel novella. It's definitely storytelling format, which is what I really wanted. We're kind of following this cleric in this location, and they're basically excavating this location to learn more about the history of this one moment in this empire that has to do with the Empress of Salt and Fortune, and there happens to be a person there who can provide more insight into the objects that they're looking at. So that's all I'll talk about. And I don't know what I'll rate this. I have to sit with it for a while because it's a lot of the things that I love in a fantasy story that's so well condensed. Like to be 120 pages this tight and to, I think, satisfy me is really impressive. Especially for, I think, the amount of world building that did come across and did intrigue me without making me wish this was a longer novel. I feel like that's a rough balance to have when you do a novella that has great world building, because then sometimes I'm just like, but I wanted to be in the world longer, which there is the sequel, so I'm excited for that. But in this one, I do think that it's a tricky start because you really are just thrown into it. You're with the cleric, you're with, I think it's a bird. I'm not sure. It's a creature that has bird-like qualities if they're not a bird. And you don't even know why they're there. There's a weird red lake. Like, it's so fantastical. It literally feels like a folktale for adults in this fantasy setting. You know that there's magic in this world, but you're focused more on this political side of it. And like the way the breadcrumbs fall into place is really satisfying. Yeah, I really liked it. I think I can see why it's nominated for a lot of things. So I'm really happy that I read that. So that is my first book down with I believe Nevo is Vietnamese when I looked at the ultimate spreadsheet. So we got a Vietnamese author. I think I was having this go for like book in my favorite genre, although I do have another fantasy novella, so I could move things around. But I think this one will work for my favorite genre prompt, and maybe I will find time today to finish this audiobook because I really need to know how it's going to end. But that's this quick update. I really liked it. Excited to get the second one. I saw it at my bookstore the other day and I almost bought both of these, but I didn't because they were really small. And now I have regrets. Okay, again, been a minute, but I have finished 2 things. I finished The Ghost Bride, and I don't have that many new thoughts after everything else I've told you, but I will say the ending stuck the landing for me. I really liked the direction it went and how things wrapped up. I feel like that's all I can really say about it. But yeah, it definitely has, I feel like, some flaws, and your mileage are going to vary based off how much these flaws matter to you. And what I mean by that is just like, I don't know, there's this mystery that happens throughout the story, and I don't understand if that's executed super well. Mainly, I'm not a mystery reader. It's kind of like on a murder mystery vibe, and so I think depending on how well you think that's executed might determine how much you enjoyed that plot. But I enjoyed following this character go through the situation she's in, and the ending really picked up, and I like binged it out as I predicted. So great read. And it had a notes section at the end, and I really liked the notes section because they gave me even more insight into what inspired the plot and where she took artistic liberties and everything like that. So really great. And then I started, I think it's called All You Can Ever Know. I always forget this name because it's just, it doesn't stick with me, but it's a memoir by Nicole Chung, and she is a Korean American who was adopted when she was a kid by a white Catholic family, and she talks about her experience. And it was really revealing. I don't think I have consumed a lot of media around adoptions besides what is on TV. I think the most recent one I can think of is I'm watching Modern Family, and obviously in that show it starts off this gay couple and the family adopts this Vietnamese girl. So I think there's a lot of stuff that's very of its time when it's handled in the show, and some stuff that is quite progressive, and I don't necessarily think that adoption part of the media is very progressive and right in how it's handled tonally, especially after reading this work. But I don't know, hearing the complexity of being adopted just in general, and then add on to that being a person of color in a white family and the complexity there, and she kind of does decide to reach out and form bonds with her birth family, and just watching that process. She also happens to be doing this when she is having her own child, and the parallels there. It's a really nice short audiobook. I really enjoyed it. I have had this on my Goodreads want to read shelf since I was checking 2018. So I'm really glad I finally got around to it, that this readathon gave me a chance to be like, oh yeah, this was a memoir I really wanted to listen to. So that was really great. And honestly, like, as someone who's, I go back and forth on if I want to adopt kids or if I want to have my own kids. And this has actually put some thoughts in my mind that like will add to the pile of information that I will slowly be thinking about forever. But I just want to do a quick update because I'm about to go to Vermont, and I will be showing you some clips of our Airbnb and things that we see. So that's probably happening after this. And when I get back from that trip, I will dive back into some of the other reads that I showed you earlier in this vlog. So this is our Airbnb. When you walk in, you see this really, really cute little, like, what I'm calling a reading nook. Like, it's really great. When I sit here, it's very comfy, and I get this really lovely view, and it's just so cozy. But one of the reasons we got this place was for this couch, because I'm a big proponent of comfy couches and big TVs when you are at an Airbnb. They have a PlayStation 4. We bought our PlayStation 3 for Portal. Ryan just got a beer from the really lovely kitchen. And then let's go outside, because outside has some awesome stuff. Is this door locked? Am I bad at things? Ah. So if we wanted to grill and not be lazy, there's a grill, but we're not doing that.
We're pretty lazy.
Yeah, we're not doing that. But up there is like a fire pit, and I don't know if you can see, there's like a red chair that's like a ski lodge chair. Here, Ryan's gonna go up and show you guys how this works. But we can have a fire pit over here, which we might be doing tonight. We haven't committed. The Bruins are playing, so we might be distracted. But yes, very fun chair and aesthetics. And just a gorgeous area, and we couldn't have asked for better weather. It's just fantastic. have some time. Let's see if I can knock this one out this afternoon. It's only 150 pages. I don't know much other than it's European Chinese retellings mashed together and that Judith loves it, so hopefully I will too, and I will check in once I've finished. All right, so while I'm set up to film, I will do a quick update for Burning Roses, which I have finished. And I actually did finish it the day I started it, but then I was like in my glasses and there was no light and we were watching hockey. So I also really did want my thoughts to like settle for this, because this was a mixed bag for me. This is definitely like a 3.5 out of 5 stars for me. I don't know. I think what it comes down to is, when you read a book, you bring in your baggage with you. And this thematically talks about parents who are not great at being parents. And I felt like I don't necessarily feel like I liked being the headspace of these mother figures and how they were going like, oh, woe is me, I messed up, I don't know. It was a lot of that. And I think other people, though, will read that and actually really not enjoy, but appreciate like the theme of forgiveness and coming to terms with your mistakes. But like, I was just like, meh. I didn't love that. And then it is so much about family and grief and forgiveness and all of that, but you don't spend much time with the family elements. Like, you have these two women in their 30s. They're both part of different folklore. So we have the Chinese folklore archer, and then we've got the Red Riding Hood, although she's very different. Like, she's Latina, and at least in the Red Riding Hood stories I know, is not like this big like slayer of animal beasts, which is what she is in this. And I did like the infusion of Western folklore just because it's familiar, but I didn't like need it. I was actually way more excited to watch these two characters interact and banter, which didn't really happen. Or I was really excited to really understand how they got to be here, which kind of happened for one character and sort of for the other. I think this was very good, but I wanted something else. So I think that's where I land with it. Like, I still don't regret owning it. I love the cover. I'm really interested to read more about the folktale for, I'm going to be horrible at saying this name. I think it's Hu Yi, who's the archer, which is gender bent in this as a female character. And it's kind of alluded to that maybe it's a trans character because they're speaking primarily in Chinese, I think, in the story, and they were kind of referring to how, like, well, I don't want to learn your language, and when I go to your people, they're going to call me something else, and they won't know I'm a she, or something. Like, it kind of came across like maybe that character was trans. Regardless, it was pretty good. I just think thematically I wasn't really connecting with it, and it didn't have, like... we all know this, right, at this point. I'm a character interaction person, and the two main characters of this story, we mostly were hearing them talk about their past, and we're less bantering together, less connecting. They had spent previously to this book 2 years together, so they know each other, but we don't know how they know each other, and that's like the type of stuff I want to know personally. Like, that's just like my preference. But still, 3.5 out of 5 stars, 1 book left, and we'll see how it goes. Never Let Me Go, haven't started it yet, but that's the next one. Okay, I'm at work, so you're gonna have to excuse the machine sounds, but I have read part 1 of the book that I'll put an image of because I've been reading it on my phone. And I'm not going to talk, oh, see, this fan's going, but we're going to keep going. I'm not going to talk too many specifics, but what I will say is I have really liked watching these students in a school setting. It's one of the better ones that I've read in an adult work. Like, this is not middle grade, it's not young adult. I'm watching these 3 students go from like preteen to teenagers in a school setting, kind of in a memoir-like storytelling. And other things are happening, like the stuff that like people are like, you should go in blind. So I'm not even going to like touch that. That stuff is interesting because like the way that the memoir storytelling is working, it's like little nuggets here and there. Like 1 second you're reading something, you're like, oh, this feels pretty familiar to me. I really like this. I love watching these characters be friends and interact, etc. And then there's like a sentence that's just like, huh? And that's like been really intriguing to me. So it's been working really well. Ironically, it's weird. I've been reading it on my phone, and that goes by way faster for me than reading the paperback. I don't know. Has that ever happened to you guys when, like, sometimes if you read it in a different way, you can read faster? Like, with Dune, it's faster for me to read the mass market paperbacks than it is the hardback, stuff like that. So I'll check in next when I've, like, finished the book with just, like, my feelings, like, because I just know, for me personally, I didn't want to know anything going in, so I'm not trying to, like, not give much of anything other than like what's on the back of the book and what I don't consider part of the like mystery elements, the like what's happening stuff. But I'm really enjoying it and I'm really glad I picked it up. All right, I finished it. I did all 5 books. So quick, I guess, update on Never Let Me Go, although still spoiler free. I really liked it, but I have a lot of thoughts. I don't know what I expected, if I'm honest. It's a literary fiction, I knew that, so I kind of actually did expect it to be so focused on what it was focused on and not on like things that I would be focused on if this was more like genre fiction. But like there was a part of like the world building that I was just like, I don't quite understand like this, but I think that was kind of the point of like the point of views that we were having. But like initially I just thought, oh, this isn't the scope, so it's not there. But then at the end it just felt very intentional, and so I was trying to wrap my head around like why this intention. And I think I largely am glad I read this story. It's not a perfect book, but I am so glad because one of my like in-person friends had recommended it to me like 2 years ago. So to finally get to one of those is always a great feeling, and I'm glad this project had me do it. So quick rundown, what did I read? I read The Ghost Bride. I read All You Can Ever Know. I read The Empress of Salt and Fortune. I read Burning Roses, and I then finished it up with Never Let Me Go. It's 5 different authors, 5 different cultures and ethnicities. I feel pretty good about it, and I hope this was fun for you. I would love to do more challenge vlogs in the future. This was pretty fun for me to have this like little project, and hopefully the slice of life footage was fun too. Let me know if you have any ideas for future vlogs I could do. If you liked this, if you didn't like this, also let me know. And for your emoji, feel free to leave a mountain emoji since I showed you those in Vermont. And otherwise, like if you liked it, subscribe if you want to, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.